الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وإمامنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم ربنا زدنا علما نافعا وعملا صالحا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. 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 اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. Muhammad, if you can just get 3 of these and just put up here. This seems quite far away. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا. واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. اللهم ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. اللهم ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. أما بعد فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, inshallah, we will start from Surah Al-Kahf from the beginning. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف وقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين أحصى لما لبثوا أمدا نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا هؤلاء قوم اتخذوا من دونه آلهة لولا يأتون عليهم بسلطان بين فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا وإذ اعتزلتموهم وما يعبدون إلا الله فأووا إلى الكهف ينشر لكم ربكم من رحمته ويهيئ لكم من أمركم مرفقا وترى الشمس إذا طلعت تزاور عن كهفهم ذات اليمين وإذا غربت تقرضهم ذات الشمال وهم في فجوة منه ذلك من آيات الله من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وتحسبهم أيقاظا وهم رقود ونقلبهم ذات اليمين وذات الشمال وكلبهم باسط ذراعيه بالوصيد لو اطلعت عليهم لوليت منهم فرارا ولملئت منهم رعبا وكذلك بعثناهم ليتساءلوا بينهم قال قائل منهم كم لبثتم قالوا لبثنا يوما أو بعض يوم قالوا ربكم أعلم بما لبثتم فابعثوا أحدكم بورقكم هذه إلى المدينة فلينظر أيها أزكى طعاما فليأتكم برزق منه وليتلطف ولا يشعرن بكم أحدا إنهم إن يظهروا عليكم يرجموكم أو يعيدوكم في ملتهم ولن تفلحوا إذا أبدا وكذلك أعثرنا عليهم ليعلموا أن وعد الله حق وأن الساعة لا ريب فيها إذ يتنازعون بينهم أمرهم فقالوا بنوا عليهم بنيانا ربهم أعلم بهم قال الذين غلبوا على أمرهم لنتخذن عليهم مسجدا سيقولون ثلاثة رابعهم كلبهم ويقولون خمسة سادسهم كلبهم رجما بالغيب ويقولون سبعة وثامنهم كلبهم قل ربي أعلم بعدتهم ما يعلمهم إلا قليل فلا تمار فيهم إلا مراء ظاهرا ولا تستفت فيهم منهم أحدا ولا تقولن لشيء إني فاعل ذلك غدا إلا أن يشاء الله واذكر ربك إذا نسيت وقل عسى أن يهديني ربي لأقرب من هذا رشدا ولبثوا في كهفهم 300 سنين وازدادوا 9 قل الله أعلم بما لبثوا له غيب السماوات والأرض أبصر به وأسمع ما لهم من دونه من ولي ولا يشرك في حكمه أحدا واتل ما أوحي إليك من كتاب ربك لا مبدل لكلماته ولن تجد من دونه ملتحدا واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه ولا تعد عيناك عنهم تريد زينة الحياة الدنيا ولا تطع من أغفلنا قلبه عن ذكرنا واتبع هواه وكان أمره فرطا وقل الحق من ربكم فمن شاء فليؤمن ومن شاء فليكفر إنا أعتدنا للظالمين نارا أحاط بهم سرادقها وإن يستغيثوا يغاثوا بماء كالمهل يشوي الوجوه بئس الشراب وساءت مرتفقا إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق متكئين فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا. This mindset today we're going to take is from Surah Al-Kahf, verses of 27 to 30. This mindset ought to have been before the previous one. Can I have the previous mindset? Notes. Yeah, so the last lesson, the mindset we took was from the verses of 30 to 31. Exhausting utmost appropriate effort in establishment is the inheritance of my prophet. Okay, that's the mindset we took last lesson. But however, the mindset we're going to take today, this should have been the mindset before the one we took last lesson. So the mindset that we should have taken is this one, which we'll cover inshallah today, which is from Surah Al-Kahf, verse 27 to 30. I am smarter being with the upright people. I am smarter being with the upright people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and recite, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what has been revealed to you of the book of your Rabb. There is no changer of his words, and never will you find in other than him a refuge. And keep yourself patient by being with those who call upon their Rabb in the morning and in the evening. And they pray the salawat and they do the adhkar, seeking his face. And let not your eyes pass beyond them. Don't look at people who are not Muslims, but they have skills, they are rich, they are well off, they can assist Islam, but they're not Muslims. Don't look at those people. Give precedence to those who are Muslims and they are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and calling him, even if they are poor, even if they are not skillful, right? Give precedence to them. And let not your eyes pass beyond them, desiring the adornments of the worldly life, and do not obey one whose heart we have made heedless of our remembrance, and who follows his desire, and whose affairs is ever in neglect. Okay? So the main mindset, so here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding Muhammad to give precedence to the Muslims, even if they are weak, even if they are destitute, even if they are poor, even if they are not sharp and not smart, even if they are unskilled, not prosperous, and so forth, still, as long as they are Muslims and as long as they are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are trying their best to adhere to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they must be given precedence above any other human being. Even if the other human being, they have skills, they have power, they have wealth, and however, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the righteous upright Muslim is far better than any other human being who is arrogant, who is stubborn, who is ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many of us, we have this notion that by being with people who are righteous, who are upright, but they're not they are not skilled, or they are not smart, they are not sharp, they are not wealthy, they are not powerful, then we seem to be taken as not smart, not sharp, not prosperous, not skillful, and so forth and so on. This is a notion many wealthy, prosperous people have. And this verse applies to you. This verse applies to you. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding you to be smart and to make smart decisions and to give these people precedence and stay with them, live with them, spend time with them, be with them. Why is that? Because ultimately in the coming life, the only thing and the most fundamental thing that will benefit everyone is Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because they have that Tawheed, they will have Shafa'ah, they will have intercession. And the ones who will have intercession are those who will be accounted less. Those who will be accounted less. And people who are simple-minded, right? They don't have much wealth. They're poor, they're destitute, right? They will be accounted less simply because they have less responsibility to the society. And thereby the sins, in terms of social sins, collective social sins will be less. And their personal sins between them and Allah Jalla wa Ala obviously can be forgiven. And thereby, they are most likely to enter into Jannah before us. And thereby, they are most likely to also intercede for anyone who is in need of intercession. So they are real, tangible benefit for the coming life, for your benefit of the coming life. That's number one. Number two, in the akhirah life, they will not be destitute. They will be rich, they'll be wealthy, they'll have delights and pleasures, and they may even be higher than you by far. By far. Thereby, being with them is a smart thing to do, because by you being with them, you can elevate your status, your rank, your honor in the sight of Allah and in the sight of them, and as a sight of a Muslim, your internal reality of a Muslim and a mu'min, you can elevate it to the highest of levels. If I was to ask you, let's bring you to earth now. If I was to ask you how many of you have people who are poor and destitute as friends and companions?
Depends how you define poor.
Yeah, there are poor people in this country. Yeah, or simple-minded people. How many of you befriend simple-minded people? But you know they're from Ahl Jannah. I know one person is so simple, he lives in Shoreditch. I don't name him, but he's such a simple person. And you know, when I went to Umrah, I said to the brothers who organized the trip for me, I want to be with him in the room. I want to be with him in the room. I want to spend my time in Umrah with him in the room. In Mecca and in Medina. And I spent time with him. And I always say to brothers, if this individual goes to Hajj, make sure I'm going to Hajj. Obviously, I'll go Hajj, but make sure I am with him in the room as well, even if he goes to Hajj. And once he went to Hajj, and that year I couldn't go for some reason. So I regretted it. I still say, like, subhanAllah, he went and I could not be with him in Hajj. If I was with him in Hajj, I would have been his companion in every place, from Mecca to Medina to Mina to Muzdalifah to Arafah, I would be the person next to him. Yeah. Why? He's very simple-minded and is sincere, is genuine, and he's funny as well. And he makes you laugh, he makes you smile, relieves some of the stress of life. And subhanAllah, he was going through a serious case with his personal life, and I spent time with him in Mecca and Medina. Some of the statements he would say, like I would just look at him thinking, "Wow!" Like he calls me Hamza Bhai. So I say, Hamza Bhai, doesn't Allah say, or doesn't Prophet ﷺ say, like when Allah tries you, He loves you? I'm like, yeah. That much Allah loves me. I'm like, of course. And it's like the smile He'll put on my face. It'll be like, if you're so believing, So, and every time I see him, I'll in the road, I'll honk my car, or I'll wave my hand. If there's no one behind me, I'll actually stop my car, get my window down, and say, "Hello, so-and-so, are you okay? How are you? How's your family?" So forth. And I always say at the end, "Make dua for me. Make dua for me." Okay, so here's one. There is a few other people, elderly men, for example, simple people, who I hang around with consciously, proactively, seeking to implement this verse. Yeah. But my favorite is the individual in the shortage. He is without a doubt top of the list. So find people like that and befriend them, become their companions. The greatest example of this implementation by Sahaba was of Salim, who was a slave of Hudayfa. Hudayfa freed him, adopted him as a son, and then eventually that was abrogated, so he made him his companion. They lived together, and they also died together in the battlefield. Who was this Salim? SubhanAllah, he was from Al-Quran, from the ulama, from the mujahideen, from the judges' leadership qualities. Rather, Umar bin Khattab said, if Salim was alive today, I would assign him to be the Khalif. So Salim was a slave. Hudayfa freed him. He was a slave of Hudayfa. Hudayfa freed him, made him his adopted son first, and then eventually, when that was abrogated, he made him his companion, his best friend. They did everything together, including jihad fi sabilillah, and then right at the end, when they both passed away, they actually digged holes in the ground in order for them not to flee from the battlefield, and they died next to one another. One of the ways and means to soften your hearts. When I travel, every time I travel, I always try to find poor people, destitute people, wipe their heads. If I can stay with them, stay with them. Even recently, I messaged one brother who does charity work. I said to him, look, if you go next time, do take me, because I would like to spend, a couple of days with the poor people, staying with them, living with them in their own houses. So we should do this. We should do this. Find poor, destitute people, help them, assist them, and they're less blood relations they have with you, the more better. Because you don't have, because blood relations, you ought to take care of them anyway. You ought to be friends and close with them anyway. But it's those who are not related with you in blood, then befriend them, be companions of them, and take care of them, help them, assist them, empower them, be with them. It's what, unless you experience it, you will never ever taste the sweetness that they give you. Like you can actually relax. You can actually relax with them, have laughter and banter, just relax and joke, and you can let your guards down and literally have a laugh. And the way they see the world is so simple. To them, it's black and white, easygoing, relaxed, laid back, and it's so simple to them. Nothing's confusing, nothing's too complex. And it is so soothing. It is so soothing when you be with those people. Actions. No matter how smart you are, if you are not proactively spending time with the upright people, then know that is the utmost dumbest decision you have made in your life. In this life, the only certainty you have that, or at least your family has, that you may be amongst the people of Jannah, is that the sincere, honest people, the worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who've known you in your life, they attend your janazah. Doesn't matter where they are, when they hear your name and you have passed away, they make sure they come and attend your janazah, make sure they make dua for you sincerely. So some said, the ones whose janazah has 40 sincere people, that's a sign that he or she is amongst the people of Jannah. Yeah? That's a good sign. Okay? So 40 people is not a small number. Not any 40 people. In other narration, 100 people. So 40 and 100, they are not small numbers. If you were to count sincere people around you who will, if they hear your death, they will make, doesn't matter how busy they are, they will make the effort to come and pray your janazah. Count the number. Can you reach it to 40? Can you reach it to 40? It'll be tough. You might reach to 5, max, 7. I don't think anyone can go above 10. Yeah? So we really need to work hard, proactively seeking out righteous, upright people, making sure that we have 40 sincere, honest worshippers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, true muwahideen of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Doesn't matter what they are going through in their lives, they will leave all of that behind if they hear, I have passed away. And they will drop everything and they will come and attend your janazah and make sincere and honest dua for you. Yeah? If you can guarantee that, then you are a smart person. If you cannot guarantee that, then you can classify yourself as the most dumbest person, even if you are the most wisest of person, if people take you as wise in this life. Obviously, worst, if they don't attend, they know you and they don't attend, rather they curse you. That's khalas, you did meet. You're within the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make sure you don't harm any poor, destitute, righteous people and their families. Make sure your tongue, make sure your hands, make sure your thoughts, make sure your actions and reactions towards them is within mercy, it's within generosity, it's within care and love. It's within compassion and empathy and sympathy. It's not within arrogance and pride and stubbornness and selfishness and miserliness and slander and belittling them and so forth and so on. Next action point, visit different organizations in different cities and know the righteous and the proactive Muslims therein. This is something we ought to do, especially as men. We ought to visit different organizations, different institutions, different cities, different towns, different even villages, right? And know the righteous Muslims, those who are passed away, and those who are alive, who are active and proactive within the communities, establishing justice, establishing harmony, establishing the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the surface of the earth. If I was to ask you, how many organizations have you been just for the sake of saying hello, hi, you okay, how's everything, what are your goals? How many organizations have you been to? There's so many organizations out there, Muslim organizations, but how many have you personally been to and visited? Same goes with the institutions. So if the Muslims began to do that, then the organizers, the people who are behind the organizations, at least then they will feel the motivation, the energy and the drive to continue to do work for the Muslim community, because they will feel that there is support and moral support from the Muslim community. Similarly, if we were to seek out people who are active and proactive in the communities, then those people who are struggling to establish justice and peace and harmony amongst the societies, they would have got that moral support from us, that so-and-so came and visited, so-and-so came and asked about our city or our town or our village and stayed with us for a week or so, or stayed with us for 3 days at least, right? Because we can stay as a guest for 3 days as Muslims. So stayed with us for 3 days and got to know our history, advised us, and then he moved on. How empowered will they feel, especially if you're someone who's known internationally, or someone known nationally, or someone who is famous for doing khair and doing work for the community. Yeah. So it's vital that people who are known in the community and famous, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them that authority or that influence or that position or that status or that rank, that they should go out and visit cities, towns, villages, stay therein for 3 days at least, and get to know the Muslims who have passed away, and also the Muslims who are present, who are proactively trying the best to establish justice and harmony and establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Last action point, invite them to your homes and share with them your personal issues as well as your concerns and tangible visions for the Ummah. So after you got to know them, become friends with them, become companions with them, invite them and their families to your houses. And I've spoken about this lengthily. Without us inviting one another, we will not create that solid network of bond amongst us and amongst families, by which then we can protect one another, by which also we can morally support one another, and also by which we can pass challenges and difficulties which we face as individuals and as families and as societies. Together we can pass those challenges and overcome those difficulties. Invite them and then share with them your personal issues. Whatever you're going through, talk to them. Yesterday, for example, one of the sheikhs visited myself at late night. He's busy with his family, but yet he came to see me. And we sat until like 1 a.m. and we were talking, and he opened up about his issues. I opened up to him about my issues, personal issues. And it was soothing because here is a great Shaykh of the UK from Ahl Quran. I don't want to name him, but he's from Ahl Quran, one of the most knowledgeable people in the Quran and the sciences of the Quran and Qira'at and so forth. He came, visited me at 11 p.m. We sat for two hours talking, chit-chatting, speaking about our personal issues, advising one another. He was advising me, I was advising him. He's much older than myself, so as a junior, I need his advice, his directions, his visions, and also his du'as. And similarly, me as a junior, he needs from me my moral support, my du'as as well, and whatever I have of network that I can support him for his visions. We ought to do that and assist one another. So it was amazing when he was leaving. I dropped him off. His car was just parked next to my car. I said to him, "No, Sheikh, you have to come into my car. You have to honor my car. I want to see you again in my car. I never see you again." So I forced him to get into my car. Just drove him like 30 seconds. dropped off to him to his car. It's amazing. So these are some of the things we ought to do as a Muslim ummah and as a community. And he advised me, and I took his advice on board, alhamdulillah, regarding everything that I want to do and whatever I am going through in my personal life. And he advised, and I took that on board, alhamdulillah. So these are some of the things we as Muslim community ought to do. The more we do it, privately, publicly, the more bonding we will have with one another. It will be solid, it will be strong, it will be unbreakable, it will be unshakable. And then inshallah we can establish that same love, harmony, and also barakah within families, and eventually inshallah within the greater Muslim community. So the mindset of today was, I am smarter being with the upright people. Definitely you are smarter by being with the upright people. Smarter in this life, but most importantly, smarter for eternity. حياكم الله وجزاكم الله، تقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.